All right, guys, welcome into another episode of The Lab presented by Wolverine. Really excited to continue our quarterback carousel at this point with the veteran of the group, Jack Tuttle. And Jack, before we get into anything, I know I had a high school coach that would describe the anticipation of the season basically like Christmas Eve. You know, like you get the butterflies, you guys have been competing, they're long days, but Fresno State's around the corner. And with that in mind, I heard you had a little gift. I have a little gift. I think it'd be fitting in the spirit of that analogy to maybe do a little unboxing before we get into some X's and O's.
Absolutely. That's what I heard too.
All right. So this is from the Wolverine. They sent you something. I won't reveal it. And They sent me something. But you can go ahead. You can take the stage.
Sweet. So we got a box. Unknown what it is quite yet. I'm gonna pop it open. Looks pretty cool. Off rip. Got a pretty cool card. Team 144.
Wow.
Awesome.
Does yours say this? Check this out. Mine says.
That's pretty cool, huh?
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
That's fitting. Wolverines don't stop till the job is finished. Very fitting.
Beautiful. Got this amazing looking boot here. See what the tag says right here. Oh, it's upside down. There we go.
Nice.
That's pretty
nice.
Cool. Pretty cool.
Okay, so we got the same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
I got the same thing. All right, yours may look a little more dark blue than mine, or I don't know if you can see from your angle.
Might be the light.
Okay. First off, they smell amazing. By the way,
they smell amazing. They got the M on it too. You see the M? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. These are going to be great. It's going to be a nice long season for the Wolverines. You guys are going to go deep into the playoffs, go to Indy once again. I've been there a few times. It rains, it snows, so you need to have some boots ready. And then, hey, it's an extended playoff this year, so got to have some boots down the stretch of the season. So thanks for doing that, man. Thank you to Wolverine, our sponsor, for sending that. You guys make some great stuff. And these boots, they're going to get a lot of wear and tear, and that's what boots, I guess that symbolizes the job's finished, you know, so very fitting for the boots. But appreciate you doing that, man, and thank you, Wolverine, for sending us those boots. And you guys, we got it for you. Thanks to our sponsors, Wolverine. Head over to wolverine.com/blue collar to look at these boots and look at some of the other gear. Jack, man, thanks so much. I know how busy camp is, so I do just want to kind of check in with you. This is your last year of eligibility. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's my last year.
You might be able to find one more, right?
My last one.
Man, I remember the feeling I had knowing it was my last year of college football. And I just want to kind of touch base with you as the veteran in the room. You know, what kind of emotions you're feeling? You know, have you had a chance to reflect much on, you know, your career or the anticipation of this season? Just want to touch base with you, see where you're at.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. You know, it's been a long run, but I'm very blessed to be here. Coming to Michigan was the best decision I ever made in my life. I got some amazing teammates and coaches, and man, the facilities, everything about this place, the city. So very blessed to be here, and I'm super excited for this year.
You say that confidently. I would too. Could you kind of expand on that? Why you're so sure that coming to Michigan was the best decision of your life?
You know, I think for me, whatever I want to do in my future, it was just the best decision for me and just the people, man. The people are so upfront to me, being with Coach Harbaugh, Coach Moore, Coach Kirk Campbell, really just everyone here have just pushed me to the next level when it comes to football knowledge, stepping up my game physically, everything about it. So, man, I wish I would have came here out of high school. I'm not sure about it. So.
It's really interesting because in the NIL space today, and I'm in media, all I hear about is, man, you got to have money, and that's true at some level. But I listen to you talk and I listen to these players talk, and it seems like sure, you got to have money, but there's something deeper in Ann Arbor right now, and I do feel that's unique. Is that your experience? What is it like now in this locker room, especially considering everything that was lost? I mean, you guys had a ton of players drafted last year. It's a brand new locker room. Does it still feel like that going into this season?
Yeah, I think Ann Arbor is extremely special. when I first came here, there was just so much tradition, and I wasn't really used to that. You know what I mean? I stepped in the locker room. Everything was just different. Guys had an expectation to win, how things were done. In the weight room, the locker room, the cafe, there was just the expectation of doing right everywhere you went. And like you said, it felt like it was more than just like NIL or whatever it was, because guys were staying. They wanted to finish. They wanted to get the job done and take this university in Ann Arbor to the next level. That's what I truly felt when I came in, and it was amazing what happened last year, and the guys really earned it.
Man, that's also part of what you're saying too, is that shared feeling, me being an alum, and I could feel it in the fan base too. Like, man, there was like a true army. Like, there was just this emotional connection in the ether of the world. Wherever Michigan fans were, they got to feel that experience. It was so fun to watch.
No doubt.
You kind of chuckled a little bit, as did I. I said, hey, it's your last year eligibility. You played a ton of ball in your career. But, all jokes aside, the man in the arena, as fun as it is to play, as big of a blessing as you said it is to play, it's hard work. And it's hard work to get up and do it again. And it's hard work to transfer to a school where where nothing's promised and you really don't know anyone. And it's hard work to overcome, injuries and some of the things you've overcome in your career. Man, if you could just, kind of introduce yourself in a sense. I don't know how much our viewers have had a chance to listen to you. If you could just talk about the journey you've had in your college career and kind of how it's molded you into the man and the player you are today.
No doubt. And that's truly a long story, so I'm going to try not to take too much time.
I'll listen. I'm excited. I'm seriously curious, man, because I went through a ton in my career and I reflect on it often, and I'm excited to hear, man, because I know you have stacked days and years and reps and everything, and it's been quite the ride.
No doubt, no doubt. I think coming out of high school, I made the decision between a couple of schools. It was between LSU, Bama, Utah, and Wisconsin. Coming out, those were the 4 final schools, I believe, so long ago.
Yeah.
But those are the 4 final for me, and I think something happened with LSU that Coach Miles was done, and I was unsure about that. In Wisconsin, something else happened there, so Utah was the one for me in that moment. Went there, and the first 6 months really was just kind of figuring things out. I was 18. Played pretty good in spring ball, had some ups and downs, grew. And throughout that summer, I noticed some issues inside the program. I'm not going to get too far into that, but not football, just like other cultural things about it. So I decided to step away in fall, and thought that was the best thing for me and my family. Ended up going to Indiana, had some family members around there. It felt good that I was going to have some family around me, and pretty good business school in Indiana. So I'll say, okay, I might get a business degree. So, I'll try and do that. And I had some connections there with the coaches. Played at Indiana for what seemed like a long time. So Peyton Ramsey, Michael Penix, myself were really the first. I think that was my first year. We're the quarterbacks there. And when I got there, I was still kind of figuring things out from Utah and trying to get through things. And so I think Mike ended up starting that year and Peyton played, and I was still kind of in the red shirt mode, trying to get over some stuff and get used to this move throughout that season. Kalen DeBoer was actually the OC that year, and man, I learned so much there from him. And wow, that was really a transformative year for Mike, Peyton, and myself. I mean, It was unbelievable. Yeah. And I think that was the first year Indiana went to a bowl game in a while. Unbelievable year though.
Almost won the Big Ten, right?
I think that was so 2019. That was our year. We went 8, 9, and 6.
COVID was the year. Yeah, you guys.
COVID was
back
the next
then,
year.
Indiana was rolling.
Yeah, Indiana was rolling. The next year, which was the COVID year, I think Coach DeBoer ended up leaving back to Fresno to become the head coach, I believe. And Coach Nick Sheridan, awesome dude, became the OC at Indiana. He got promoted. Throughout that year, Coach Hart was there too. Coach Mike Hart, which Michigan fans should know, unbelievable guy. He was the running back coach at Indiana too during COVID. So we went through that year. Mike ended up getting pretty beat up. We didn't have too much time to throw the ball. We're going against some dogs in the Big Ten. So he ended up getting beat up halfway through the year. And I stepped in, played against Maryland, played against Wisconsin, and then Ole Miss. And like you said, we almost made the Big Ten that year, which was – it was close. It was close.
There was a controversy, right, between Indiana. Yeah.
I can't remember why or like what happened.
I just remember it was with Ohio State. I want to say it was with Ohio State, between you guys and Ohio State at that point in time. You being Indiana, but yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was something to that degree. It was something. But funny thing about that was Peyton Ramsey, who was at Indiana the year before, was at Northwestern that year. And he made the Big Ten championship with Northwestern.
That's right.
And so I would have been playing against Peyton if we had made the Big Ten championship.
Wow.
So just crazy stories there. It was hilarious. What a year that was. It was a mess. So I ended up kind of getting, I think in the bowl game, ended up getting tackled. Really, I got hit like 7+ times, and then one of them I landed on my shoulder. And just kind of fought through the rest of the game. But, man, that was such a good year. And Coach Sheridan and Coach Mike Hart did an awesome job. Did everything they could there. Learned a lot from them. Kind of went into the next year and kind of same story, 2021. Me and Mike kind of both just went back and forth. Both were getting hit quite a bit, trying to fight through it. Ultimately, both of us just got taken out from just getting hit and injuries and all that stuff. Which was really tough for me and him. And that next year, he ended up leaving to Washington with Coach DeBoer and balling out, as we all know. And now he's in the league on the Falcons. I'm super happy for him. He's doing well. I ended up staying at Indiana, was still getting over some stuff, physical stuff from the previous years. And it's injuries, like story of my life, just kind of getting hit by 300+ pound dudes. Not very good, I will say, but kind of made me tougher, made me who I am. So wouldn't have it any other way. But went of that year, tried to heal up and kind of was fighting through that in the competition.
You were voted captain too, right? I think that was interesting. You were voted captain of your team. Yeah,
voted captain. Had a blast that year, really fought to be great with this team. And I think at that time I was like my fourth OC, fifth OC, something like that. And that was kind of a crazy year with everything that happened. And at the end of the year, I knew I wanted to make the choice to just, leave and go to a different school and be with some coaches I knew and had a relationship with, because I just kept on new coaches here and there. I just didn't really have a relationship with them. And, Coach Mike Hart ends up hitting me up at the end of that year and says, hey, look, you can go somewhere with a new coach you don't really know and go through that whole thing again, right? Or you can come to Michigan with me, with Coach Moore, Coach Kirk Campbell, and we can do something special. You can be a part of this team and help us and, go win a natty. And I took that real serious, thought about it for about a week, and ended up driving up from Evans. I was down in Evansville packing up some of my stuff, putting it in my aunt's house where she lived. And I ended up driving up. I think it was like 8 hours, something like 7-8 hours to drive up to Ann Arbor. Went up there at night, got there the next morning, took a visit, saw everything, talked to Coach Harbaugh. Amazing experience, talked to Coach Moore, Coach Kirk Campbell. And right when I left from that visit, I just knew that, that was it. That was it. And think I ended up making that decision next week. Had to talk to my family and got it done. Was super excited about all of that, and maybe a little nervous about, hey, it's a new place, gonna go through this again, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as I stepped in the door, everyone was so welcoming, and it was like a family, truly. And like I told you before, the tradition was just top notch.
Yeah.
Everything was in line. There was expectations, goals, and I knew, I was like, okay, boom, got to get to work, got to do anything I can to help this team, and we did that. We did that. Every day we went to work.
Yep.
Got in the weight room, trained as hard as we possibly could. Everyone knew the goal. No one ever faltered, and that's really just kind of a short clip of my story. And throughout that year in fall, I ended up getting thrown into a wall against UNLB, which was kind of a crazy thing. And fought through a couple injuries, but I told coach I just wanted to continue fighting through the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I didn't want to quit, and not quit, but I didn't want to step away and have my injuries treated halfway through the season or 3/4 of the way through the season. It's no, I want to be here with the team and finish what we started.
Yep.
With JJ and everybody. I wanted to be there for him and everyone else. So, that's what we did. That's what I did, and finished the season with a couple bumps. Kind of got back into shape and getting right throughout the off season, and here's where we are now. We're Team 145, getting ready to go back to the playoffs and get the natty and be back to back.
Man, I appreciate you sharing that. It's that is quite the journey. And the one thing I wish I did is I wish I kept a journal, because there's a lot of details. I wish I kept a journal sooner in my life. I journal now. But, I don't know if you keep a journal, but, with this being your last year and everything you've been through, while it's fresh, advice from a retired football player, they're super fun to keep and useful to remember these times. And as you were talking, there's a few different directions I'd love to, talk to you about. I kind of want to start with the moment when you got to Michigan, because you have a unique perspective, having been part of a bunch of different cultures, some better than others, all of them different and unique. And I remember my time at Michigan, we were 7-6, 5-7 my first 2 years, to back-to-back 10-win seasons. And the difference in culture, the difference when you walked in the building was noticeable. I got drafted to Denver. We were not great my rookie year, but it was still, that was 2017. So they won the Super Bowl in 2015. All those guys retired. So it was still a little bit intact. Then our coach got fired and we bring in a new coach. And again, the difference in culture was drastic. Mm-hmm. You walk into this building and you talk about the history. You talk about how welcoming the players. Man, was that a surprise? What did your family think? Can you help put that into context? What were you expecting? And then how did that measure against your experience?
Yeah, I just honestly, it was different because, I never experienced anything like it before. The amount of accountability was unbelievable. And especially from the first place I went to, and really the second place I went to, it was just so far up the totem pole, with accountability, responsibility, just who you are, character-wise, walking in that building, here's what you're going to be. And if you're anything else, you're probably going to get left behind.
Yes.
That's really, and I don't know if you felt that too when you were there, but it's just, you got to be a Michigan man. That's what Michigan is about. It's a standard and you better rise to it. And my family was stoked about it, to be honest, because that's what they wanted for me all along. That's what we were searching for. So, I was super excited, and so were they. And, like I said before, I would definitely, out of high school, man, wish I would have came to Michigan. Yeah. But I'm just so blessed to be here now.
Yeah, you found your way. And I think with culture, I just think of a marching line, I just think that's a great analogy, where everyone is marching in the same direction under the same rhythm. perfectly uniform. They're all exactly aware of their job. And if someone walks in, an outsider, it's very quick. It's easy to say, oh, I march just like this in this direction. And the second someone gets away from the pack, it's very obvious you're not meant to be. Like that to me is culture. And I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that was such a big piece to your team's success last year. Is it fair to say when you had success at Indiana, I mean, again, I'd love to hear your perspective on this, is that a huge ingredient to, or difference between the successful teams you've been on and not?
I would say so. I think at Indiana, we really just had, we had a good lineup of just offensive minds and defensive minds. Kane Wambach now is DC at Alabama, and he was our DC at Indiana that one year. We were absolutely amazing. The past 2 years, Kalen DeBoer, Nick Sheridan, who's now the OC at Alabama. There was just some great offensive minds, and defensive minds, and they instilled that within us, like who we need to be and what do we want to be. Yeah. And we're not here to lose. We're here to win. And that was the thing at Indiana for a while, was guys were just used to losing. So they were okay with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that Coach DeBoer, Coach Sheridan, and Coach Kane really instilled that within the guys those couple of years. And, it was a beautiful thing for a little bit. And they went on and did their own things. And Coach Hart, too. I don't want to leave out Coach Hart. He's coming back. And it was a good time.
Tell me about Sharon then. You know, what has this past year been like as you've observed his leadership?
Absolutely unbelievable, just like he was last year. You know, those times when people were counting us out, Coach Harbaugh is going to be gone, he's going to be out, Michigan's going to fold. No, we had Coach Moore right there, ready to step in, ready to lead, and be that guy for the team to lean on and to just charge into any situation and come out victorious. So he's been the same guy throughout this year, kept the same standard in our program. And it's beautiful to see. You know, there's no fall off from that.
I'm sure that's going to get our viewers fired up. But I mean, you hear the whispers. I mean, seriously, it's the stories of the competition at camp. I mean, look, it's a competitive roster. Now you've played with J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, you've Kalen DeBoer. You've been at Michigan, like you've been around some elite offensive minds, as you said. You know, what's as you look at how you're playing your quarterback position now, like what have you picked up from those guys? What have you brought to your game that allows you to be confident, you know, you were going to achieve your full potential going into this season?
Yeah, I think you kind of said it. I've been in a lot of different systems with a lot of different people. I've been in a multiple offense, an air raid offense. It's so different from each offense is so different from each other, but you can take little nuggets from each one that might help you in the other one, different terms or terminology that kind of translate. And, you know, going through the years, even now with Coach Kirk Campbell, all of it's kind of just helped me prepare for this year. We talk about it in quarterback meetings sometimes, you know, some things or terms that I brought from my past, you know, Coach Kirk, it's like, oh, that's a good point. And he uses them sometimes now. And there's so many things that Coach Kirk Campbell has taught me throughout my past year and a half, 2 years here. I mean, it's just blown my mind and just changed the way I look at football. I mean, so I think.
Can I ask you to expand on that? Because it's been said a number of times, and you could just, if you can put it in context, if you could, you know, talk to me like I don't know football. Like, what are some of those things you've learned?
Yeah, I don't want to give too much.
No, don't give too much. Definitely don't do that. But
just, I would put it like this: just the way he structures an offense, like how detailed Coach Kirk is in everything he does. Man, if it's 1 yard off, it's not right, because the play is not going to be the play's not going to pan out the way we want it to if it's just not detailed right. And the way he structures, shows different looks, puts it into another look. Defense is really just, they scrambled last year and they're going to continue to scramble because they don't know what's going to happen. And he really is one of the brightest minds in college football, if you ask me right now. And, Coach DeBoer, not saying any of the coaches I was with in the past, they're absolutely, all of them are unbelievable. It's been an amazing experience with Kirk and Coach Kirk, and I'm blessed to be with him now.
That's key. And I'm going to tell me if I'm on the right track here, because I think one of the big things in college football, especially when you're a team like Michigan who recruits well and the roster's clearly talented, we can be fair. There's 6 or 7 games where you guys could be off your A game. You could be a B minus, a B, and it may not be pretty, but you're still going to win. But what Kirk's saying, when you're saying if it's off a yard, it's not done right. The ball has to be on the upfield shoulder, not the back hip. That ball has to be out on the first hitch. If not, get your check down. And it's easy in college football to kind of snooze a little bit and say, we're good. We're winning games, coach. But the difference when you're playing Texas, Oregon, USC, Ohio State, going on a run to the national championship. I mean, some of those the margins in that Alabama game, razor thin. That's kind of the message you're saying here is being communicated from Coach Campbell as an understanding for you and the offense as a whole.
Absolutely. That's exactly the message, I am relaying. And that's what the difference was last year for us in finishing the semifinal and winning the national championship was Coach Moore and Coach Campbell and the whole offensive staff coming together and looking at that stuff and making sure the details were just spot on and everything was correct. And we showed different looks. The defense truly didn't know what we were doing sometimes. They were scrambling, trying to communicate. Boom, we run a play. Donovan spits out the backside and scores the national championship because the defense, they're on the wrong gaps. They don't know what's coming. So it's unbelievable to see, and it's beautiful. It's literally picture perfect in football when you see that stuff.
It is beautiful. Like when it's done right.
It's art.
Football's a beautiful game. It's like a romantic game. I've had some people laugh at me when I said that, but I'm like, man, when all 11 guys are on the same page and it works, there's nothing better, man. There's nothing better. So
it's art. It's art.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Would love to know, and again, I get it. You guys are in the submarine. You can't share all too much, but, playing quarterback, having the chance to rotate through different groups. I know Colston Loveland's going to be great. I know Donovan's going to be great. What about the growth? What can you share with us about the growth of some of these younger guys, even like a Tyler Morris, as you're looking to replace some of that production?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so many guys on the offense, even the freshmen that just got here that have just been trending upwards. So that's extremely exciting. And, obviously we, like you said, Colston and Donovan and those guys are just unbelievable. Tyler has progressed so much, Tyler Morris. We all saw him in the Rose Bowl, split down the sideline and score that touchdown for us, which was unbelievable. He's done an amazing job. He's done a great job over the offseason, not just being good on the field, but being good off the field, being a good leader. So that's great for him. And Samaj Morgan, obviously, stepping into a bigger role, right? Now that Roman's gone. So him and Tyler, absolutely balling out so far on fall camp. Yeah. And, CJ Charleston and Amarion Walker doing great things. And they're going to continue to do that. So I'm excited for them.
I think we're all excited. I know we got to let you run here soon. And one thing I wanted to ask you before you go, Orji has his own identity. Davis Warren has his own identity. Jaden Davis is a unique quarterback. You're a unique quarterback. Just kind of through your own eyes, what do you view as, your strengths, going into camp? Like what is your identity? What can you bring to this offense?
Yeah, no doubt. I guess the best way to, I've always looked up to Andrew Luck as a quarterback. He's the guy that I watched a ton of film on, I've talked to, and his gameplay is something I admire. That's his toughness, really. is what is huge to me and stands out to me, and the way he operates an offense and makes plays for his team when there's none to be had. That's something that, I really try and model my game after, and strive to continue to get better at and play at an elite level at those things. So, toughness, resilience, battling back, and being able to do that stuff. That's what I really try and model my game after.
I think that's a great answer, and it's fitting. That was the beginning of our conversation where you talked about your journey, that toughness, that dedication, that commitment. So it's kind of a fitting way to put a bow on this show, man. And I know camp is busy. Just to get your time for 30 minutes, I appreciate it. I'm sure our viewers appreciate it. And what a great honor, like you said, to compete for the starting quarterback role at Michigan. It's been amazing to, listen to Alex talk and you talk and Davis. You guys seem to really care about each other. Of course, it's competitive, but it seems like you guys care about one another. And I just want to say I really appreciate that, and appreciate your time joining us here tonight.
No doubt. I thank you for your time, Jake. It's been amazing, and I know the other QBs and I are extremely thankful. Just to talk and chat, and we're all excited for the season. And man, I love those guys, and we're all competing, and they're doing a great job. So I'm proud of them, and we're going to do everything we can.
Well, like I said, man, that's going to make a bunch of Michigan fans very happy. They don't want to move away from these past 3 years. Michigan fans says, why can't we continue on? And that has to be the question. And looking forward to seeing that be answered this fall. So Jack, man, thanks so much for joining us. To our viewers, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time on The Lab, presented by Wolverine.